Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's BF and Kruma, live and direct with you here today. If you've been paying attention all week, I've been teaching principles from my book, 5 Steps to Beating the Trap. And if you saw my video earlier that I did, I asked the question, what do you think about every day, or what do you think about all the time? And I wanted to get on live to go even further into what I was talking about, because it's easy to just ask the question, what do you think about? What's on your mind all the time? But it's not just about what's on your mind all the time or making sure you have the right thoughts. It's about recognizing the wrong thoughts. It's about being able to understand when you have thinking that is not advantageous to reaching whatever your goals may be in life. So when I'm asking, what do you think about every day? I want you to consciously really think about all of the thoughts that goes through your mind. And then what I want to do right now is help you develop ways of sorting through those thoughts and grabbing a hold of some of those negative thoughts that you have in your mind, getting rid of them. Because we're trying to reach our goals this year. We're trying to live out our dreams. We're trying to do everything that we've had the potential to do that we haven't done. Now, 2020 kicked everybody's ass. And so in 2021, we definitely want to say, you know what? Whatever I lost last year, whatever I didn't get last year, I'm coming for it this year. So boom. What do you think about? Now, when I ask this question, right, I wanna be clear. I'm making a differentiation between what you consciously think and what you just daydream. Two totally different things. A lot of us daydream. We can sit on the job and daydream. We can be at home and we can daydream. But it's a difference between daydreaming and consciously thinking. It's a difference between just seeing it and then you thinking about how am I going to get there. You making sure you have the correct thoughts in order for you to get there. It's a difference between just dreaming and consciously thinking. So what do you consciously think about? Are you intentional about what's in your mind? Are you intentional about what you belabor on in your mind all day long? Are you intentional about thoughts that are going to be beneficial to helping you get to where you want to get to? All of you on here, make sure y'all please hit that share button. What do you consciously think about? I'm not talking about what just goes through your mind. Like, you know how you could be praying and you be like, Lord God, and, did I turn the stove off? I'm not talking about the thoughts that just run through your mind. What do you consciously think? When you sit down and put a thought into your own mind, what are you intentionally thinking about every day? If you don't have intentional thoughts, that's what I want to help you to reprogram some of the negative thoughts, because this is what happens. When you don't have intentional thoughts, the unintentional thoughts are always just wild and sporadic. I gave an example in my post earlier. When I dream at night, like when I'm sleeping, my dreams just be all over the place. I be running, I start flying. I ride a bike, I start flying. You can't run fast, while you sleep. So in my dreams, they just all over the place. But that's because I'm not conscious. It's because I'm not conscious. But when I'm awake, when I'm conscious, it's up to me to grab a hold of everything I need to control my dreams. See, a lot of us want to just daydream. See, daydreaming is another unconscious thing. We just want unconscious dreaming as opposed to intentional conscious thinking that leads me to creating steps in order to reach my goal. Now, whatever you don't have on your mind intentionally, 9 times out of 9.5, you ain't never going to do it. It's like people that leave massive legacies. They thought about that. Do you think about the legacy that you're going to leave? Do you ever think about when you go, what your legacy is going to mean to people around you, to people who knew you, to people who didn't know you, to your children, to your family? Do you think about legacy? You're not going to leave a legacy if you don't think about building something that's going to live after you. In fact, I preached a message with that at somebody's funeral, creating a life that lives after you do. So what are you thinking about? So boom. So as we dealing with these dreams, right? As we dealing with these goals, as we dealing with these aspirations, let me ask you a question. How possible do you really think your dreams are? Like be honest with yourself. Like right now, I'm not talking about once we work through some stuff, and I'm talking about right now. If you just be honest with yourself, when you think about, you about to, like, I go on YouTube a lot and I watch $1 million listings. They're typically like 18, 20, 30 million. I watch $40 million houses. I like to watch that because that's what I'm dreaming and working towards. I don't know if I need a $40 million house, but hey, I like to be able to buy one if I want one. How possible do I really think? I think it's really possible. I think it's really possible for me to do it, but I've done a lot of mental work to get a lot of the negativity out of my mind. What I'm asking you is be honest with yourself. How possible do you really think your dreams are? And if you can't, with clear face, say what I just said and say, I feel like it's really possible. There's nothing wrong. I'm not trying to say there's nothing wrong with you. It's okay. We've all been there. We've all dealt with it. We've all had so many different ideas put in our mind. We've all dealt with so much trauma. We've all had all kinds of childhood issues. So it's understandable if you can look at your dream and don't really think that you can get there. Now, this is where we're getting ready to really get into the work. And if y'all got a pen and paper, or if you got the new iPhone update, you can just slide up and still watch me while you're in your notes. I need you to write this down or just come back to the video once it's over. Couple of questions. First question. What does your doubt sound like? You have to learn to understand what your doubt sounds like. Now, this is what you have to do, right? And this is why you have to do that. Because you have to learn to detect doubt and not just accept it as reasoning. See, sometimes your doubt can be so deeply embedded in you that it just sounds like reasoning. It sounds like, well, you know what, that makes sense. We didn't have so much doubt that doubt done made sense. And instead of us getting over the doubt, we accept the doubt as rational. Well, that's just a rational thing. I'm not going to be able to do that because learn what your doubt sounds like. What do your doubting thoughts sound like? Every day when you start to think about your dream, when you start to plan, when you start to move and execute, and then all of a sudden you don't, what was those doubt thoughts? What were those doubt thoughts? Identify what your doubt sounds like. Next question. What does your fear sound like? Identify that fear. What does your fear sound like? I don't have the resources. I don't have the knowledge. Or just plain out, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. What does your fear sound like? Because if you can't identify when you're having a fearful thought, your fearful thought will then control your mind, and then your mind will control your actions, and then you're not going to be a conscious thinker. You're just going to be a daydreamer. You're just going to dream, but you're not going to consciously think and do. What do your fearful thoughts sound like? Last question. What do your reservations sound like? We'd be like, well, it's too late for me to do this. I was just talking to a friend of mine who's in nursing school, and she was like, I got 2 more years left. And she was like, I'd rather go ahead and do it now and get it over in 2 years than wait 2 years and then start 2 years from now. And then that's 4 years because I thought it was too late. I thought I was too old to be starting now. I'm too old. It's too late. What do your reservations sound like? Understand these things. What does your doubt sound like? What does your fear sound like? And what do your reservations sound like? What we're doing here, finding the error in your thinking. Finding the error in your thinking. Because when you don't want to find the error in your thinking, or when you don't, or when you can't find the error in your thinking, guess what? You're going to continually think wrong. And when you think wrong, you're going to live a life that you don't really want because you're operating from thoughts that weren't even correct. It's like you are taking a test, right? And what you study gave you all the wrong answers. You got all the wrong answers. And now you're taking the test of life based off of negative thoughts in your mind that were not correct. Grab this and take a hold of this, right? Negative thoughts almost never are based on facts. Negative thoughts almost never are based on facts. It's just pure emotion. It's just pure feeling. They are never based on facts. Now, listen. Say, I know all of us that have some kind of dream, right? If you have ever felt like, I can't do this, this is what I want to ask you. What proof do you have that you can't? What's the proof? What proof do you have that you can't? What irrefutable evidence, beyond a shadow of a doubt, do you have to prove to yourself that you can't? I guarantee you won't find the proof, because we are all capable of doing what's inside of our heart. It wouldn't be in our heart if we couldn't do it. We all have the potential. We all have the capacity to do it, but you have to believe it. You have to know that you can do it. What proof do you have? I guarantee you, you can't find the proof that you can't. Meanwhile, all this time, you were thinking that you can. Show me proof. Before you tell me what you can't do, show me the proof. Before you tell me what's too hard, show me the proof. Before you show me what's impossible, show me the proof. So we're recognizing the error in our thoughts. So I want to go just a little bit deeper. You know, I like to deal with psychology, so I'm really big into psychoanalytics. I believe like 1913, Sigmund Freud wrote a paper called The Id, the Ego, and the Superego. Maybe he wrote The Id, the Ego, and then later on added the Superego. I think that's how it went. That doesn't matter. So in psychoanalytics, what's generally accepted is your subconscious mind, your mind is made up of these three parts: the id, the ego, the superego. The id is just your animalistic part of your brain that just desires, has no reason for why it desires. It just desires. It's a kid that it's a hot stove. I want to touch this hot stove, and you end up burning your hand. Or a kid just see a cookie and steal a cookie. They don't know, have no concept of theft or stealing or immorality. It's just your basic animal desires. They can contradict each other one day after another. They're just basic desires. Your ego is what tries to make sense out of your desires from the id. So the id feeds into the ego, and the ego is like, all right, I want to touch this oven, but should I touch this oven? Now, the ego doesn't have answers, but it starts a rational process of dealing with, all right, so should I touch this stove? Should I take this cookie? It's not mine, or whatever else, whatever example you want to, think about. The superego is the morality part of your mind. The superego takes the animalistic desires from the id. It takes the rationale from the ego. I hate when I can't see my hand on TV because I always have my hands, so I'm always moving my hands. It takes the rationale from the ego, and then it adds the morality. So now when the ego is trying to figure out, all right, should I do this? The superego is telling it, you should do this because, or you should not do this because. So that's how we work: the id, the ego, the superego. But the superego only tells the mind what it should or shouldn't do according to what has already been poured into the subconscious. So if you think you can't do something, it's because you fed can't to your subconscious. You fed so much can't to your subconscious that when your ego starts to ask the question, can I or can I, your superego says no. No facts. It's just what you fed to your subconscious mind. You fed can't over and over to your subconscious mind. You fed, I'm not strong enough to your subconscious mind. You fed, nobody from my neighborhood has ever made it. Nobody from my family has ever done this. You fed all of that to your subconscious mind. You watch the most negative stuff. You listen to the most negative stuff. You stayed around the most negative people. You were in the most negative surroundings, and you just let the negative pour into your subconscious mind. But your ego was ready. Your ego was saying, can I or can I? Come on, I think I can, but then I think I can't. All I need is a push to push me to the can side. And what drives you to believe that you can is predicated on what you sowed into your subconscious. It's predicated on what you sowed into your subconscious. When you sow can to your subconscious, every time, and this is all working up in your brain, every time that ego is asking, can I, the super ego is saying, yes, you can. So like Barack Obama. So what this all boils down to is you have to develop a goal override. Now, if you ever been to the market and somebody scans something and you don't want it on, the cashier can't just take it off. Typically, they have to call for override. Or if you're driving with your cruise control on and you start driving a lot faster, it'll say driver override. The override takes over what was going on. So when I say a goal override, what I mean is you have to fight every thought that doesn't lead to your goal. Whatever thought that you have that doesn't lead to your goal, you need that goal override to kick in. Because you can't allow any thoughts, any ideas, any belief, any ideologies to fester in your mind that can get you to believe that you can't. So if you want the goal, right? If this is what you want, right? You want this goal. You want that thing that you've been daydreaming about. You want it. Then you got to say, I can only think about what's going to get me there. You can't allow any of these ideas to be in your mind. You have to override any of these thoughts. So what we talked about, the doubt, the fear, the reservations, recognizing what they sound like, recognizing what your doubtful thoughts sound like, what your fearful thoughts sound like, and what your reservation thoughts sound like, in order for you to override those thoughts so that you never have thoughts that linger. Now, you're not ever going to be able to stop a doubtful thought from coming, or a fearful thought from coming, or a reservation from coming. You're never going to be able to stop it, but you can override it. So that's what I just wanted to talk to y'all about right now. Just that thinking, the power of your thinking, and grabbing those negative thoughts and just getting rid of them. Just getting rid of them and not allowing them to control your life. And once you actually take control of that and you're very conscious of what you think and you're conscious of what you pour into your subconscious mind, you will change the way you think. And in turn, you will change your actions. Again, everything I'm teaching is from this book right here, 5 Steps to Beating the Trap. I will put the link in the caption and I will put the link in the comments for y'all to go ahead and pick up the book. It's only $15. I promise you, if you are getting anything out of these videos this past week, the book goes into a whole lot more of all of this. So we could, and it has checklists. The book, let me show y'all. So at the end of every chapter, if you can see, it's a checklist for you to actually do the work, to actually change, to make the changes that you really want. So it's not, I don't write to just say, he wrote a good book, he's an excellent writer. No, I want you to actually take some things. I want everything that I teach to be applicable and to be practical for you to actually do and see some changes in your life. So that book is 5 Steps to Beating the Trap. You can get it on bfandkrumah.com. And again, I will be putting it in the caption and I will be putting it in the comments below. Make sure you all share this video out. If you got something out of it, tag a friend and tell them that they need to check this video out. And always remember to love black, to buy black, to think black. Love y'all.